The Eagles just played their second preseason game of the year versus the Browns, and it was kind of weird to be honest, as some players had very impressive showings, including a few key guys who were expected to have very significant roles on the team this year, but other guys ended up struggling, and one in particular has Eagles fans worried that a very important position on the team could be a big weakness. Plus, on top of that, several positional battles that have been going on throughout Eagles camp really heated up in this game, with some guys even making their case as to why they should earn starting roles this year. But while there was good news for some guys, there was horrible news for others, as there were a lot of injuries in this game, unfortunately for the Eagles, several of which looked like they could be significant. All that for the final score to end up as the most annoying possible result. So we're going to talk about all that in this video today, so let's not waste any time and get straight into it. So the Philadelphia Eagles ended up tying the Cleveland Browns in their second preseason game by a final score of 18-18, and really all around, it was kind of a weird game to watch. I mean, it felt like it dragged on for a really long time because there were a lot of stoppages of play. Neither team played particularly well, at least I didn't think that they did, and then when it was all said and done, we ended up with a tie as the final score. So yeah, really kind of a weird and sloppy game, but still, there were plenty of noteworthy moments and performances throughout, as well as some other important developments. So let's break it down. Now first, I want to start with a guy who has been really heavily focused on throughout camp, but has been semi-quiet over the past week or so, and that is rookie Nolan Smith, as after having a couple quiet joint practices versus the Browns where we really didn't hear much from him, he came out in this preseason game and really played well. I mean, he was definitely one of these standouts from the game for the Eagles. First off, he got a lot of run early, mainly in the first quarter, and when he was on the field, he made plays. To start off, early during the Browns' opening drive, he had a nice pressure on QB Dorian Thompson-Robinson that ended up forcing an incompletion. Then on a later drive in the first quarter, he was able to get a pressure which forced the QB to step up in the pocket, which then led to both Kentavious Street and Marlon Tuipulotu combining for a sack. But then arguably his most impressive play came early in the second quarter, where he made a really nice effort to chase down receiver Anthony Schwartz on an end around behind the line of scrimmage, who by the way, Schwartz is a former track star that ran a 4.25 40-yard dash, so it's not like he's a slow guy at all, and Smith was able to track him down and get him down for a loss of yards. And those weren't the only plays that Nolan Smith made throughout the game, as he flashed his elite speed off the edge and athletic ability multiple times, which really should get a lot of Eagles fans excited, as it definitely does seem like Smith can come in right away and make an impact this year. Now, was he perfect? No, of course not. He's still a rookie and he has a lot of learning to do, but still overall it was definitely an impressive performance from Smith. Now, the unfortunate thing is that on that last play where Nolan made the tackle on Schwartz, he appeared to go down with some sort of shoulder injury, which took him off the field and into the locker room, and that became a theme for the Eagles throughout the rest of the game, as they had 6 guys go down with injuries. Now luckily, the injury to Smith doesn't seem serious, as he was smiling when walking off the field into the locker room, and then he came back out and stood on the sideline afterwards. And after the game, Nolan Smith said that his shoulder was completely fine and they only took him off the field for precautionary reasons, so it seems like he's going to be alright. Same goes for receiver Olamide Zaccheaus, who actually made a nice play in his Eagles debut, as he had a nice little short pass that he caught and then ran to pick up 17 yards, breaking a tackle in the process. Unfortunately though, he later sustained a shoulder injury and had to walk back to the locker room, but like Smith, he came back out and was on the sideline with his teammates afterwards, so that's definitely a good sign. Seems like he's going to be alright. And then again, very similarly, backup center Josh Andrews sustained an ankle injury and did not return to the game, but he, like the other two, came back out and was seen on the sideline, so it seems like those 3 should be fine and their injuries may not be too serious, but unfortunately, the same might not be able to be said for these next 3 guys. Now to start out, backup slot cornerback Zech McPhearson picked up an ankle injury after having a nice pass breakup that popped the ball up into the air and almost was an interception for defensive tackle Kentavious Street, but that injury seemed to be a little bit more serious, as he couldn't really put any weight on his one ankle and he had to be carted off the field, so hopefully it's not too bad and he's able to recover somewhat quickly. Okay, so we just got an update on Zech McPhearson, and unfortunately it is not a good one, as he ended up tearing his Achilles in that game versus the Browns, and that effectively has ended his season, so that really sucks. You never want to see something like that. McPhearson had clearly become this team's backup slot cornerback during training camp, and it just really stinks to see his season end before it even gets going. So hopefully his recovery goes well and he's able to come back stronger next year. But that wasn't the end of the carnage for the Eagles, unfortunately, as next up to go into the cart was wide receiver Tyrie Cleveland, which really sucks because he's been playing great recently during preseason and training camp, and he's been making a case for himself to get a roster spot, but sadly, during the third quarter, Cleveland went up for a contested catch and landed on his head and neck area, area, and he didn't get up. So the cart had to come out, they had to strap him down, and they had to make sure that he didn't move just to be safe, and he was out for the rest of the game with a neck injury. Now, the good news is that he had movement in all his extremities, so it seems like he'll be okay, but it just sucks because he was playing so well recently, and this injury very well could end up costing him whatever chance he had of actually making this roster. Now, the last guy to go down with an injury was rookie Moro Ojomo, who very similarly to Cleveland suffered a neck injury, and he didn't get up and they had to stretcher him off the field as well. Now, more good news for him as well, he gave a thumbs up and a wave going off the field, so he's got movement in all his extremities just like Cleveland, and he should end up being okay, but still a scary moment nonetheless among a couple others on what was just a really injury-riddled day for the Eagles. So hopefully these guys can all make quick and speedy recoveries, and none of the injuries or season ending are too serious. Now, maybe by the time you're watching this, there's some news out on some of these guys, and hopefully it's good news. Now, some other actual good news for the Eagles is that they had some other impressive performances in this game, one of them being from a guy that all Eagles fans are hoping and praying can become a good player for this team this year, and that is Nakobe Dean, who's going to have a huge role as this defense's Mike linebacker in 2023, and during Thursday's preseason game, he gave Eagles fans some hope that he'll be able to live up to the hype this year, as in just a couple of short series that he actually played during, Nakobe ended up racking up a few tackles, and most impressively, he ended the Browns' first drive in the red zone by punching the ball out of the running back's hands and forcing a fumble, which the Eagles ended up recovering. And also on that play, he just showed some insane instincts, shooting through the gap immediately to make that play. So it was really a great play from Nakobe, and that one surely got Eagles fans pumped, and hopefully it's the start to a great season from the second-year linebacker. I mean, I personally think Nakobe's going to have a great year, but what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Now, I already know what Eagles fans are thinking about rookie quarterback Tanner McKee after just 2 preseason games, as this guy was on fire during both of them, delivering accurate passes left and right and really raising his stock throughout the preseason. Now, during Thursday's contest, he ended up with a final stat line of 10 for 18 with 147 yards and a touchdown, which are solid numbers, but they don't even tell the whole story, as he played better than what those stats say, as he had at least 3 throws where the ball hit the receiver in the perfect spot, right in the hands, and they just didn't catch it. But still, he was able to overcome the bad moments and have plenty of good ones, as he put together 2 touchdown drives in the second half, and he had some really nice connections going with one, Joseph Ngata, who also flashed some talent in this game as he had some really nice catches, and also he had a nice connection going with newly acquired receiver Johnny King, who made some nice plays, including a 2-point conversion grab that tied the game at 18, after McKee made a great play throwing a laser to tight end Brady Russell for a touchdown, which set up the Eagles with the opportunity to tie the game at 18. So really, it was a fantastic showing for Tanner McKee, as he was just really accurate with good decision making, and just an all-around, it was a really solid performance, which is a lot more than I can say for the other quarterback that played in this game for the Eagles, and his performance has a lot of Eagles fans worried that they may potentially have a problem at backup quarterback. Now, don't worry, we're going to get to that and a whole lot more, but just real quick here, I have to say, if you are enjoying this video and want to see others like it coming in the future, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Around 80% of the people that watch these videos are not subscribed. If you're one of those people, you've been consistently watching the videos, you love the Philadelphia Eagles, and you don't want to miss any coverage on them coming in the future, make sure you fix that right now. Go subscribe and turn on notifications. And also, if you don't want to miss when I drop my Eagles hype video for this upcoming season or any other Eagles or Sixers hype videos coming in the future, make sure you subscribe to the second channel, Philly Fan 21 Productions. I think if you subscribe to both of those channels, that would be a win-win for the both of us. Now, with all that being said, let's get back into the video. So like I said, the other quarterback to play for the Eagles during this game was really disappointing, and of course I'm talking about backup QB Marcus Mariota, who was just terrible on Thursday versus the Browns. I mean, his stats for one aren't very good, as he went 9 for 17 with 86 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. And if you watch the game, I mean, it just looked like this guy couldn't hit an open receiver to save his life. I mean, he was missing throws left and right, and this was on throws that were completely wide open that an NFL QB should easily make. And his one interception was just awful, as he way overthrew tight end Grant Calcaterra in what ended up being an easy interception for the Browns defense. Plus, Mariota just couldn't seem to move the offense down the field. I mean, he never really got a good drive going, so overall, it was just a bad showing by Mariota, and it has Eagles fans a little worried about our backup quarterback situation. However, with Tanner McKee playing great, I don't know if I'm too worried. I mean, maybe he actually deserves a real shot at that QB2 job if he continues to impress and Mariota continues to disappoint. But who knows? He's got a lot of NFL experience, and maybe he can still bounce back. But what do you guys think? Am I crazy? Can Mariota bounce back? Should Tanner McKee actually get a chance at the QB number 2 job, or should the Eagles consider going out and getting somebody else? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Now lastly, a few of the Eagles' positional battles only heated up during this preseason game, and that starts at the linebacker position, where we're still trying to figure out who will be the starter alongside Nakobe Dean, and a couple guys made their case during Thursday's game, starting with newly acquired linebacker Zach Cuningham, who actually started the game next to Dean after a nice week at practice. So after earning the start, Cuningham made the most of this opportunity as he tied the team lead in total tackles with 7, and he also had a tackle for loss, so he definitely looked pretty solid out there, but so did one of the other candidates in Christina Elliss, as he put up some numbers with 5 total tackles, including 2 tackles for loss and a pass defended. And I feel like out of all the guys that were competing for this spot, specifically during this game, Christina Elliss was the guy who jumped out on my screen the most. I mean, he was just flying around to the ball carrier, and it seemed like he was consistently in position to make plays. So during this game, if I had to pick who was the most impressive at linebacker aside from Nakobe Dean, I might gotta go with Elliss, although Cuningham made plays like I said, and so did Morrow, as he had 5 total tackles as well and had some nice plays alongside Christina Elliss. So the battle is definitely heating up, as I said earlier. This is gonna be really interesting to watch as this next week plays out, and I'm curious, who do you think deserves to be the team's other starting linebacker alongside Nakobe Dean? Now another battle to watch will be at safety, and that battle also heated up during this game. K'Von Wallace, who was one of the candidates to start, definitely was interesting to watch during this game because for one, he had several nice plays and he tied for the team lead in total tackles with 7, and he also led in solo tackles with 6. And Wallace also started out the game, but then he was out for a little while in the middle, but then he was back out there and he ended up closing the game out as well. So, and I really found it interesting that Wallace was out there to end the game. I definitely did not expect that at all, and I'm curious as to what that could mean. I mean, especially when his competition in Terrell Edmunds started the game but came out in the 3rd quarter, and Sidney Brown, he played a lot in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, but he didn't really play in the 4th from what I remember. And by the way, Sidney Brown continues to make his presence felt as he continued to play super fast and aggressive, which led to him having a huge hit in the 1st quarter. So when it comes to this safety battle, I really don't know what to think. I feel like all 3 guys have a very real shot. So what do you guys think? Who should be the other starting safety alongside Reed Blankenship? Now lastly, the final positional battle I want to talk about that I feel like I have a little bit more of a grasp on than the others at this point is the battle at running back, because during this game versus the Browns, I think we got some much needed clarity, and that came from the fact that for one, DeAndre Swift didn't play, so it feels like at this point we know he's going to have a big role on this team. And like Nick Sirianni said last week, Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott did come in this game, and they ended up each getting a couple touches early, but then they didn't play much after. And since I think the belief is that the Eagles are only going to keep 4 running backs on this roster, the final spot is probably between Rashaad Penny and Trey Sermon. And man, if that's the case, this battle is really heating up, as it seems like the coaching staff seems to be higher on Penny than Sermon at this point, as he only played a few series and he had 2 carries, and then he came out of the game. Then after that, Trey Sermon saw a ton of action throughout the rest of the game, both in the 1st and 2nd half, so it definitely seems like he's the one that's on the bubble right now, and he's fighting to keep his spot on this roster. And man, did he do his best to make the Eagles' decision more difficult during Thursday's game. Sure, he did have a fumble in the 1st half of the game, but he went and talked to Jalen Hurts on the sideline after it, and then he bounced back, finishing the game with 5 carries for 54 yards and a touchdown, with that touchdown run being from 33 yards out. And so overall, I thought it was a pretty nice performance from Sermon. Now, was it enough to put him ahead of Penny? I really don't know. I don't think so, but I do, however, think if he does get cut, he almost certainly will be signed back to the practice squad as long as someone else doesn't scoop him up before that. But what do you guys think? How many running backs will the Eagles keep? If they do have to end up cutting one of these 5, who should it be? And what do you think of the way the Eagles running back competition is shaking out? Okay, so after ending preseason game number 2 in a tie, the Eagles switch gears and will now focus on the Colts for the final week of preseason, where a lot of these battles will be won, and some players will earn and lose roster spots. Now, the Eagles got a joint practice with Indy next week, and of course the game as well, and then soon after, we will find out a lot about how this team is going to look as we head into the 2023 NFL season. So if you don't want to miss any coverage regarding that, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Also, drop a like on this video if you did end up enjoying it, and leave a comment down below. What were your thoughts on the Eagles preseason tie versus the Cleveland Browns? Also, make sure you subscribe to the second channel again so you don't miss any Eagles and Sixers hype videos coming in the future. And also, if you want to watch another Eagles video recapping the Eagles and Browns second joint practice from Tuesday, which honestly I thought was a little bit more eventful than this game, to be honest, you can go watch it right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.